In the quiet quarters of the Royal Postal Academy, a letter arrives, setting the stage for an unexpected turn in young Jesper Johansson's life. The letter makes its way through the post office system until it finally reaches the drill sergeant of the Royal Postal Academy. It's a summons for one of the students, Jesper Johansson Jason Schwartzman. Jesper's father is the head of the academy and has enrolled Jesper in the hopes of teaching him about responsibility. Jesper, however, is a selfish brat and prefers to spend his time lounging in his luxurious tent. Jesper is lazy and spoiled. He does a terrible job at delivering mail. His father deduces that Jesper is doing this intentionally because he wants a different punishment. So he announces that Jesper is officially a postman and will be stationed in a small town named Smeerensburg. He also tells him to deliver 6,000 letters in a year, or he will be cut off from the family. Smeerensburg is gloomy and freezing. The ferryman Mogens Norm MacDonald tells Jesper to ring the bell in the town square for a warm welcome. But when he does, the townspeople start fighting. The bell is called the Battle Bell. The town has two clans, the Crums and the Ellingboes, who hate each other. Jesper hides in a schoolhouse. He meets the teacher, Miss Alva Rashida Jones. She sells fish because no parents send their kids to school. They don't want them to mix with the other clan. She wants to leave Smeerensburg. The ferryman takes Jesper to his new home, the old post office full of snow and chickens. A boy on a sled hits Jesper with a snowball and insults him. The next day, Jesper looks for letters but finds none. He asks the townspeople for their mail, but they only care about fighting and tricking each other. At one house, a young boy's drawing falls at Jesper's feet. He tries to mail it back, but the boy's father runs him off. 2 weeks later, Jesper is still unsuccessful. But he hasn't visited one house yet, the woodsman Mr. Klaus K. Simmons, who lives far away. The house is empty, so Jesper goes in. He sees hundreds of toys in the basement. Klaus comes back, and Jesper flees, leaving his satchel. The boy's drawing from before drops out, and Klaus looks at it, interested. Jesper tries to escape Smeerensburg, but Klaus stops him. He asks him where the boy lives. Jesper shows him the boy's home, but the gift Klaus wants him to drop off is too large for the mailbox, and the yard is full of traps. He gets catapulted up and down into the chimney thanks to Klaus. Jesper drops the gift and runs away, but Klaus stays to see the boy open it and enjoy the toy. The next morning, Jesper is shocked to see many children outside his house. The boy shared Klaus's visit with everyone, and now they all want to send letters to him, requesting toys. Jesper quickly gives out paper and pencils to the children and tells them to make their letters sound sad. He makes a chart on the wall to count how many letters he delivers. Jesper goes back to Klaus's home, where the woodsman is putting birdhouses in the trees. He shows him letters and persuades him to give away the toys in his basement. Klaus agrees. The boy is having fun with his toy in the yard, and a little girl joins him. Their parents notice this and separate them right away since they are from different clans. The children are taken to the clan leaders, Miss Ellingbo Ethel Esso and Mrs. Krum Johan Kushak. They are told that the clans should not mix, and the reason they keep fighting with each other is because of tradition. The kids say that it won't happen again, but Mrs. Krum is suspicious. The children start to talk about Mr. Klaus and how he slides down the chimney at night and leaves toys behind. And he likes cookies. In truth, Jesper has been the one delivering the gifts while Klaus just follows him. At one of the houses, Jesper recognizes the boy who hit him with a snowball before and leaves a lump of coal in his stocking. At the post office, a Sami girl named Marju tries to ask for a gift, but since she doesn't speak English, Jesper ignores her. Some of the children tell him they don't know how to write, so he decides to send them to Alva, and since she's the school teacher. Alva, however, is not happy about this new situation because she's almost ready to leave. The children want to learn how to write their names, so she starts spending money from her savings for school supplies. Meanwhile, the number of gifts has grown so much that Jesper's horse can't pull the wagon anymore. Klaus thinks of using some nearby reindeer, which makes the wagon go faster. The snowball boy asks Jesper the next morning why he's been getting coal instead of gifts. Jesper quickly says that Klaus watches everything that the children do, and if they are bad, they won't get gifts. The children start doing nice things in hopes of keeping Klaus happy. They tidy up the town and act kinder to their neighbors. Their good deeds start to motivate the adults to do the same. Alva can stop selling fish and start teaching. Soon the town is much nicer and everyone is friendly, but Mr. Ellingbo and Mrs. Krum don't like the changes. They figure out Jesper is behind this and need to stop him. Klaus is glad to hear that the town is improving. He says a true selfless act always sparks another. Jesper doesn't agree, however. He thinks everyone is always after something. Mr. Ellingbo and Mrs. Krum try to attack them, but Klaus is able to steer them safely away. The wagon loses its wheels in the process, and they end up flying over a cliffside. A boy sees the sleigh and reindeer in the air from his window. The next morning, gossip has spread that Klaus has flying reindeer. This makes him laugh for the first time. Mr. Ellingbo and Mrs. Crumb agree to meet late at night in the town square. Their clans are shrinking because of all the nice deeds. Mrs. Crumb suggests a temporary peace so they can finally stop Klaus. Mr. Ellingbo agrees, and the two shake hands. The peace is briefly broken. However, when someone rings the battle bell by mistake, which starts another fight. Jesper sees that they are running out of toys. He thinks of making a big delivery on Christmas, and Klaus can make more. Klaus says he doesn't do that anymore, but Jesper keeps pushing that they can turn Klaus's home into a workshop. In his enthusiasm, he accidentally finds a decorative shelf of the woodsman, a young woman, his wife, and several empty holes. Klaus angrily tells Jesper to leave. Jesper goes back to the post office and finds Margie waiting for him. He finally takes her to Alva so they can write her letter to Klaus in English. She wants a sled with a sail. Jesper takes the letter to Klaus's home and tries to make it, but it doesn't look good. Klaus eventually feels sorry and helps him. They take the gift to Margie's village just a bit out of town and leave it outside her tent. This time Jesper stays with Klaus and watches her open and play with the sled with her parents. Back at the house, Klaus finally talks about his wife, Lydia. They left the village because they wanted to have a family. While they waited, he started making toys. Sadly, they never had children, and Lydia died of an illness. He kept making birdhouses because of her love of birds. Klaus thanks Jesper for bringing joy back into his life and decides to go ahead with the Christmas plan, even planning for the future. Jesper is unsure because he still wants to leave Smeerensburg, but can't tell Klaus the truth. He stops by the schoolhouse and is surprised to see it, and Miss Alva completely changed. More so that Alva used up all her savings. She takes him to the town square, which has been fully decorated for Christmas, and all the townspeople are socializing with one another. Mr. Ellingbo and Mrs. Crumb sneak into the post office and see Jesper's chart of letters delivered. They start making many fake letters and put them on Morgan's boat since he takes care of all the outgoing mail. Margie brings her whole village to Klaus's workshop to help get ready for the big night. Jesper takes Alva to the workshop and begins to think about maybe staying in Smeerensburg. Christmas Eve is here. The Sami village have changed Klaus' sleigh and give Klaus a new red outfit. The mood is ruined when Jesper's father shows up. Mr. Ellingbo and Mrs. Crumb invited him because over 14,000 letters have been delivered. Since he did his part of the deal, he can go home now. Klaus and Alva are sad to find out about Jesper's real plans. At the docks, Morgans tells Jesper's father that his son is the first postman to leave Smeerensburg unhappy. Usually, the postmen that leave are the happiest. Margie comes too late, but it turns out Jesper didn't leave on the boat. He told his father the truth and was allowed to stay. On the mountaintop, he sees the clans carrying torches towards Klaus's home. As the sleigh is being filled with presents, the clans come to destroy them. Once kids stop getting toys, they'll eventually start fighting again, which will make the grown-ups fight again too. Jesper gets on the sleigh and tries to escape, but it's not connected, so they sleigh rolls downhill. The clans run after them down the hillside. Klaus won't help because he's still angry at Jesper, much to Jesper's annoyance, but secretly helps Jesper with the sleigh during the chase. During the chase, the bag is torn and toys start to fall out. Jesper desperately apologizes while trying to close the bag. Mr. Crumb's huge daughter, Pumpkin, almost falls to her death, but she's saved by Mr. Ellingbo's son, Olaf. Jesper manages to stop the sleigh from going over the cliffside, but Mr. Ellingbo meanly rips the bag more, and the presents fall. Mrs. Crumb says that the town will always be unhappy as long as they're in charge, but Jesper disagrees. A true act of kindness always sparks another. To show his point, Pumpkin and Olaf are no longer enemies, much to their parents' shock. Turns out the presents on the sleigh were just logs of firewood wrapped in wrapping paper. The real presents were back at the workshop safe. Alva found out about the plan because the children told her about it at school, and she told Klaus. Officially forgiven, Jesper and Klaus leave to deliver the presents. Christmas morning comes, and the children happily open their presents. On a nearby hill, Jesper and Klaus sit and listen. Life keeps getting better in Smeerensburg. Pumpkin and Olaf get married, which makes Mrs. Crumb and Mr. Ellingbo relatives. Jesper and Alva marry and later have 2 children. Klaus's present operation keeps growing bigger and further. Jesper and Klaus stay friends until 12 years later when Klaus disappears to be with his wife. In the epilogue, Jesper kisses his children and Alva goodnight and sits down in front of the fireplace by the Christmas tree. He hears the sound of sleigh bells and smiles, ready to see his old friend again. That's all for the recap of the movie. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Let me know what you think of this Santa Claus movie in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button to support our channel. Until next time, this is Joseph from Joe Z Recap. Stay safe.